I watched Rob Zombie's Halloween. So, I'm not generally a huge fan of Rob Zombie movies, which is weird because on paper, I know I should absolutely love his work. But his movies have a tendency to feel mean spirited in a way that other slashers don't. I know it sounds a little silly, but the vibes are often just rancid, like every shower in America backed up at once. That said, I reluctantly admit I actually really liked this movie a lot. Rob Zombie is a competent director who's doing exactly what he intends and saying exactly what he means. Whether you like what he's saying or not is another matter entirely. We get many of the same beats as the original movie, but Zombie makes it a different kind of scary. And I know this movie catches a lot of flack for fundamentally changing where horror comes from when examining Michael, but the end result is still scary. He uses a different formula and somehow still gets the right answer. Michael is now a troubled young boy whose home life is Zombie's favorite flavor of Americana, white trash. He's already at 10 years old exhibiting signs of severe psychological issues that are either dismissed or completely missed entirely. And those issues are only exacerbated by his absolutely abysmal home life. It's almost as if Zombie is poking fun at people like me who can't help but ask why every time we get a mysterious murderer. He goes, "Fine, here are your damn answers. What does it change?" Nothing. Knowing why Michael is the way he is does not better prepare anyone to stop him. Michael's first kills feel almost justified. An abusive bully, his egregiously abusive stepfather, but each kill drifts further and further away from that justification until eventually the reason is just because they were there. He spares his infant sister. He's actually gentle with her, tender even. But earlier, he killed his pet rat. So the movie has already established something. Michael has no real problem killing things he cares about. That will be important later. When he's put into the institution, it's clear this is more about containing something dangerous than actually helping him. And the movie spends almost its entire first half showing us this slow slide into what Michael will eventually become. He knows there's something wrong inside of him. He literally says the masks hide his ugliness. Zombie loves showing institutional corruption in his movies, and this is no different. Sadly, it is also not the most unrealistic portrayal. There are a handful of adults who genuinely try to reach Michael, but most simply don't care. The system exists to contain him, not heal him. His own mother can't even cope with what's happened to her family. Also, I somehow did not even recognize Sherry Moon Zombie here. I think this is genuinely some of her best work. Loomis is a questionable psychiatrist once again. Malcolm McDowell does a great job, but Donald Pleasance simply weaponized overacting in a way no human being has before or since. McDowell can't compete with that. He jumps to "this kid is pure evil and beyond help" pretty damn quickly. But it also supports the movie's sort of larger plot point. Even with all these answers handed to us, even after watching Michael's childhood, even after 15 years of therapy, nobody can really know what's going on inside someone else's head. Michael escapes the institution 15 years later after one of the orderlies decides that committing sexual assault in the room of the 7-foot serial killer is somehow a solid career move. Interesting strategy. I don't love this scene, but Zombie tends to use sexual assault as shorthand for institutional rot, and I don't necessarily think that he needed to go that far to make the point. But at least the movie treats it like it's a horrific act, and instead of lingering on it, it's fairly brief. I've seen people complaining about Michael killing Danny Trejo's character because he's one of the only people who's ever treated Michael with kindness, but honestly, I think that's more of a credit to Danny Trejo's likability than anything else. Trejo is standing between Michael and his first taste of freedom in 15 years. Of course, Michael is going to go through him. Also, quick shout out to a cameo by Ken Foray, my favorite final girl. Michael is played by Tyler Maine in this movie, North America's last remaining megafauna. Every time I get a shot of him standing next to another human being, my brain just short circuits and goes, "Jesus fucking Christ! Where did Zombie find this man? The bottom of the ocean with the rest of the giants?" Zombie is doing something very specific by making Michael so enormous. Normally, Michael's strength borders on supernatural. Here, it feels proportional. When Michael is roughly the size of a duplex, suddenly throwing people through walls feels disturbingly believable. So when he folds Ken Foray like a lawn chair, I actually buy that that could physically happen. Michael returns to his old house, the last real connection he has to his previous life, and that's when Laurie walks by. And I know this is a little silly, but I am choosing to believe that Michael recognized Laurie entirely by smell, like some kind of cursed bloodhound. You cannot take this theory away from me. Laurie is interesting to me. She actually is still the quiet, reserved, good girl of her friend group. It's just that Zombie has a very specific way of writing teenage girls, and that way is filtered through approximately 47 layers of middle aged dude. So Michael begins stalking Laurie, and honestly, the stalking is really well done. Zombie often keeps Michael at the edge of the frame, sometimes so hidden in the darkness that even the audience can miss him, which seems like an impressive accomplishment considering Michael is approximately the size of a young elephant. Michael follows Laurie home, and when he attacks her parents, it's sad. Laurie actually has chemistry with her family. They feel like people who genuinely love one another. It is the exact opposite of Michael's childhood. Michael storms into this house, ducking under the doorframe because apparently they do not make houses in his size. Laurie's mother screams, "Leave my baby alone," and you can almost see Michael thinking, "Excuse you, that is my baby." When he finally gets Laurie, he drags her back to the basement of his childhood home. He pulls out the only photograph he has of his family and shows it to her. Laurie has absolutely no idea what she's looking at. Michael removes his mask, he sits down, and he just stops. It's like his quest is complete and he never considered what happens after that. He wanted Laurie, but not in a loving, brotherly way. He wanted to possess her. He isn't capable of seeing Laurie as the person she has become. He only sees the baby sister he remembers. When Laurie stabs him, he responds exactly the same way he always has when someone hurts him. He puts the mask back on. He picks up the knife out of his shoulder and he tries to kill her. Because whatever attachment Michael feels, it isn't love. Meanwhile, Loomis, who was pulled out of retirement by possibly the flattest delivered Michael's out in cinematic history.
He's out. Michael's out.
He's been hunting him across Haddonfield. Sheriff Brad Dourif calls Loomis out on the ethical nightmare of publishing a book about Michael. Was he ever truly trying to help his patient, or did Michael just become his career? It's one of the more interesting additions to the remake, I think. To Loomis's credit, though, when things finally go sideways, he repeatedly puts himself between Michael and other people. He may have failed Michael, but he is trying to stop anyone else from paying for that failure. When Loomis shoots Michael, it feels like we're getting the original ending all over again. But, not so fast. Zombie earns a fake out. This isn't just the original movie with different actors. It's trying to do its own thing. And in the end, it's Laurie, not Loomis, who has to finish what Michael started. Because despite everything, this story has always been about the relationship between those two. So, I understand why die-hard fans of Carpenter's original bounced off of this one. It is a fundamentally different interpretation of Michael Myers. But I also think a remake should actually remake something. If it's exactly the same movie with shinier cameras, what was the point? This version offers a completely different perspective. It answers every annoying little question I couldn't stop asking. It gives me Michael's childhood, his psychology, his family, his trauma, his environment. And then after answering all of them, he looks me dead in the eye and says, "Did that help?" Nope. Whether Michael was born this way, whether society failed him, whether everyone failed him, none of it changes the outcome. Michael Myers is still the boogeyman.